So my name is Soraya and I'm from Thailand. And I used to work as a cabin crew with one of the world-class airline. And I used to be trained as a trainer with them. Here, I would like to let you know that actually I have some background of medical science. I actually graduated as in medical science, bachelor degree in medical science. And why I'm saying that, because I want to let you know that actually I'm very skeptical. I used to be very skeptical. Whatever that cannot be proved in science, I will not really believe in it, or like those spiritual works and all that. I never like believe in those things. But then because of my job being a cabin crew, my life has totally changed. And the topic that I want to share with all of you is about healing. First, I would like all of you to participate in here. Does anybody know this person? If you know this person, you can type her name or just say yes in the chat box. I would like to know a little bit about your backgrounds if you know this person. Please, I would love everybody to participate here. So does anybody know this person? Yes, yes, okay, I can see in the chat box right now. Thank you, thank you. Okay, Rekha say yes. Louise here, that's correct. Thank you for that. Yes, and her name is Louise Hay. So I can see like a lot of you already know about her. And why I want to talk about her, because actually her book has totally changed my life and has totally changed the way I think about this world. And her book called You Can Heal Your Life. And I highly recommend all of you to have a chance to go and read this book. It's like a must that you must read. Okay, the main idea of this book is that the main thing that it's talking about the power of your thought, and that all of the diseases or pain, it came from your thought. And what exactly has happened to me to make me more being into this kind of studies and this kind of learning. When I used to be a cabin crew, in the very beginning of flying, I started having back pain, and it was a lower back pain. And at that time, as you already know, that I studied medical science, so I kind of know about the anatomy and the histology and all that. So I was like, if you have a back pain, it's kind of serious, and the way to heal it, it's like quite hard as well. Like if it increase and it get worse, eventually you're gonna have operations and so on. So I know how bad was it, and I know how serious was it, and the way for healing is it's like really bad as well. It's not like something that you should do. So at that time, when I was a cabin crew, I was like, how did I get this back pain? I talked to my family, and it was actually my sister who introduced me to the book, to Louise Hay, to How to Heal Yourself, Healing Your Life. The book, Louise Hay book. So in that book, when I went through the book, it was the very first time that my mind totally changed of the way I think about this world. And it was like a mind blowing. And through the book, you will understand that how your thoughts actually affects your life, and how your thoughts brings your experiences as well as diseases. So I was like, I got this back pain, so there's a reason behind it. There's some thoughts there that brought this back pain to me. So at the end of the book, actually, it written that what is each causes of each of the diseases. And actually I took some of the part from this book that has been talk about back pain or back problem. And here, let's see what has been written over here. It's like, if you have a back problem, and especially if it was about a lower back, the lower part of the back, which was exactly my pain. So I had a lower back pain, and in her book, it has been written that I have a fear of money, and that I have a lack of financial support. At that time, I started flying for like 3 years, and I had a big debt at that time because I bought a house, and I was so worried, I was so stressed how I'm going to clear up with all of those debt, that I was thinking about money all day long. And that's why how I accumulate those stress, those thoughts, and I got this back pain. Most of my friends as a cabin crew, they're saying like, because you're a cabin crew, you work hard, you carry heavy stuff, you carry passengers bags and all that. But actually I never carry much of heavy stuff because I was always looking after myself. So it wasn't the case. And because of the book, Louise Hay book, and when I read her book, I realized that actually it was my thought. It was me who I brought my pain. And it was actually very accurate. It said that I had the fear of the money, and it was true. At that time I had that big debt. So I told myself, okay, how I'm gonna get rid of this pain, how I'm gonna get rid of this thought. What I start doing is like I start searching about how to make money in other ways, or how to take care of your finance, and thinking about other plans and how I'm gonna manage my finance. And later on, to make a quick money, as a cabin crew at that time, it was like, okay, how about learning doing stock? So I spend my time learning stock and I work on stock. Just from the very beginning that I changed my thought, go and learn how to manage my money. My back pain started to relieve, and eventually, after like a year, I make a big amount of money out of stock. And because of that, until I reached that big amount of money, during that time, I totally forgot about my back pain. It was gone, even though I wasn't thinking about it. So I really would like to, what I'm trying to say here is that I can confirm from my experience that actually your diseases or your pain, it actually come from your thought. Now, I've got so many friends, and then I actually always talk to my family. We share thoughts and all that. And we're like, how about children? How about kids? When they just born to this world, how come they have disease? How come they have pain and all that? And there was once that I was listening to one of the speech. I'm not sure, I can't really remember, was it Louise Hay or Abraham Hicks? And they were talking about that. Somebody asked them the same question. And they were like, okay, for children's, what exactly happened is that children, they're very receptive to energies. They're very receptive to the energy of the people around them. And then it didn't really convince me until I actually experienced it through one of my one of my students. And she actually shared the story, and I got the permission to share it with you today. So there was a time that this particular student, she was quite stressed, and she called me and asked me for some advice. At that time, she was a single mom, and she just had a newborn baby, so an infant. And she told me like right now she's changing her job, and she's going for an interview in another country. And throughout all of this time that she just gave birth to this baby, and she's a single mom, and she needs to travel a lot and find a job to support herself and her newborn child as well. So she was very stressed. And to make things worse, what happens to her is that the infant start having seizure. And she was like, now I need to leave my child with my mom, and I need to travel to another country for the interview. And I'm so worried because she keep on having the seizure. So after, when you know all about Louise Hay and all that, you have the idea, you know what's going on here. So I actually asked her that, okay, what exactly has happened? And when exactly the child having seizure? So she said, whenever she's around and with the child never have a seizure. But whenever she's not with the kid or with the baby, the child will always have a seizure. So I start talking about the idea of Louise Hay with her. I start teaching her some of the ideas. And I was saying like, okay, what kind of emotion did you have when you left your child alone with your mom? And she was like, she was so scared. She was so feared. She was like so scared something will happen to her child. And she felt that she can't give that much love to her baby because she's not there all the time. So all of those stress, imagine all of those stress, those lack of love, those fear, it's delivered to that baby straight away. So the baby can feel her even though they're not together. And that caused her the seizure. Now, what happened here is that when she called me, she went to a doctor before she called me. So she went to the hospital, and the hospital, they were like, diagnose this kid, and they were finding like what exactly happening to this child. And then they found out actually she have a very unique typical seizure, and they come up with a very weird name, like, you know, when some of the pain or some of the disease that they cannot really explain, they come up with a new name to identify that kind of disease. So that is exactly what was about happening. And she told me like that she sneak peek on the doctor's paper, and she saw that they wrote a name of a seizure, and she searched on it on Google, and she said like that kind of seizure is like very dangerous. Like if her child really get that, it's going to be very troublesome. Like that's going to be the worst thing ever happen. Now, what I told her, I taught her regarding the idea of the power of the thought and how her energy affects her own child, even though that's a newborn infant. And I told her that disease never actually occurred, that disease never actually happened. It happens because of her own thought. And you can even see that whenever it happens, it's when you're not there and you're sending those emotions of fear and stress, and the baby can feel it and start having seizure. So I taught her all that, and I told her what exactly she needs to do. So she works on herself. Just like after like 4 to 5 months, she called me back. I totally forgot of her. And she called me back and she was like, Soraya, thank you so much. Right now, my baby having no more seizure, because she figured out how she's going to work with her thought. So what I'm trying to tell all of you here, I want to bring the awareness of how powerful is our thought, and how powerful is our thought through our children, through our kids. There's a lot of many other families here. I can see the very simple thing that happening right now in many families is like their child become fat, they become obese, even though they're very small. The obese, if you're fat or obese, it's the imbalance of some kind of thoughts. That is my belief, and that is from what I've studied. And I can see from many of my friends and from many of my people that I know that they have children that they're kind of fat or obese. It's the power that the children are receiving from the people around them. So whatever power is that, something that affects them, making them feeling imbalanced, and that makes them obese, even though they don't eat much. And kids, they can't be that fat, you know. But nowadays, I see some of the kids like how they can be that fat, you know. But then I can see the background of the family. Some of the family, they're quite stressful and all that, even though they're doing nothing to the baby, but the baby received the entire energy of the family. So that is another thing that I want to point out here. Now, move on. As I said, I was a cabin crew. The next thing happened to me after that incident is that I got a knee pain. Now, how I got that knee pain is that I over-exercise, I over-work out. Again, as a medical scientist, I know what exactly happened to my knee. I exercise. It was nothing about my thought or my thinking and all that. So I was like, what am I going to do about this? Now, working with a knee is even worse. I went to the hospital during that time because I need to fly, and they start asking me to do physical therapy. And it was quite bad. It was like I need to go like every week to do the physical therapy. It cost me a lot of money. And even worse, they said like if you're not getting better, you won't be able to fly, and that you might need an operation. Now, an operation for a knee, for a joint, it's gonna be something very bad. You cannot really heal much in that part of your body. So I was like, okay, what I'm gonna do right now? If you really read through Louise Hay book, she already taught you a lot of things, a lot of techniques over there. And she talks about the power of intention as well. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to set my intention talking to myself. When you talk to yourself, I believe you're talking with your higher self or whoever is there. There is something there. So I set my intention within myself. I just talked to myself. I was like, okay, when I set my intention, I'm going to be healed without wasting any money, because at that time, I didn't want to waste any money for any treatment or anything like that. So I'm going to be healed without wasting any money, and I'm going to be healed fast. And that was my intention. I just thought about it and I let it go. Now, what happened afterwards is that after like not even 2 months, I had a flight to Bangkok. I totally remember the flight. So I had a flight to Bangkok. At that time, I was a manager in economy class. So you're actually looking after the economy class. And all the crew at that time, we were in the galley. The galley is where the cabin crew, they work. And it's the very end at the aircraft. Some of the passengers, they love to come and chit chat with the cabin crew when we have break. So at that time, there was this guy who came to the galley, and he come and chit chat with the crew, and he was like, okay, do you know, guys, I know some magic. I can move stuff. And he started moving stuff using his hand, but small stuff. And you're on the aircraft, things moves. And I was like, yeah, this is like nothing. So he was like, but actually I'm a healer. I can heal people, and I can even say who is sick. So I was like, okay, if you're like, you're not lying, just tell me where I am sick. I'm sick right now. Can you see where I'm sick? At that time, he was even drunk. He has a drink with him in his hand. Imagine that. So he just looked at me, and he was drunk. He was look at me from top to bottom, and then he points onto my knee. And I was like, what? And I didn't say anything. I was like, okay, what about it? And he was like, okay, you have a pain here. I was like, yeah, how did you know that? He said, stretch out your leg. So I stretched out my leg. So when I stretched out my leg, he exactly points to the very spot that I had the pain, like very precisely. I was shocked. And when he pressed it, I felt a very strong pain. I was like, yes, that's the spot. And he said, yeah, that is where you have the problem. So I was like, oh my God, can you heal me? He was like, yes, I can heal you. I was like, right now? He was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So he put his glass of wine over the galley, and he started doing things. If you guys are familiar with Chinese movie, like when the story is about the ancient time of the ancient Chinese, that they do some kind of power. If you see the movie, the Chinese movie. So he was doing exactly those things. He was working with my power from the front to the back, all the way through my body. And he wasn't even Asian. He was Mexican. He was traveling from the US all the way to Thailand. So he was doing all of this, like the Chinese movie, moving the energy and all that. And he released whatever was at my knee by using just his hands. I swear to God. So I was so shocked. So I feel something first. I feel something was moving throughout my body, and I felt something release out of my knee. I was so shocked. I had to say, bowing to him and thanks him that he healed me. I was healed exactly at the spot. So I was so happy. I was running around the aircraft telling the people, and yeah, I was like so shocked. What is more interesting here is, do you still remember my intention that I say I'm going to be healed with no money, and I'm going to be healed fast? So that's exactly what happened. Here is, and later on, actually, I talked to her. I talked to this passenger. He was a guy. I said, what kind of thing that you've done to me? At that time, I didn't know much about spirituality and all that. He said his technique called hand healing. He even gave me the name. He said he went to this school. Sorry. He went to her school. Her name is Barbara. She's in the US. She's in her 90s right now. And she have this school of hand healing, and she teach people how to do hand healing. And that is her bunch of books. Move on. Later on, when I studied many other methods and I went to many seminars at Deepest Site and all that, I realized what exactly has happened at that time to me was this thing, which is called qi, which is the energy, the word in Chinese, qi. And I believe in Indian you have the word as well, but I'm not sure what do you call it, but it's the same thing. It's all talking about the chakras. And so far that I know, there's like 12 chakras, and in China, they can even map the power, the flow of the energy. And that is the reason, and that is actually how you can explain what is, how to do the Chinese acupuncture, sorry, how they do the acupuncture. That actually they put it to release the energy in the spot, and that is how they heal people. Now, I also heard that, you know, I studied medical science, so I quite know that in human body we do have blood vessels, right? You have the red blood vessels, and you have the veins, and you have the lymphoid system, three of them that you can see. And then you actually have the energy vessel or a tract around your body as well, but it's not, you can't see it physically, but it is there. And I experience it by myself. It is really there. So whatever the Chinese and the Indian, they have discovered in ancient time, it is totally true. It is totally right. And I think that's a very fast track, or that is actually the power of humanity, that we can heal ourselves by ourselves and by some other people. So I just give you some pictures and some visual picture to have the idea about the energy flow. And here you can even see people can map out how the energy they flow. This can explain many kind of healing, like Reiki, like pranic healing, and all that. And what else? Like most of the spirituality healing, it's not spirit, like you call it spirituality because you cannot see it, but it's actually true. It is there. Okay, then move on. So after all of those experiences and all that, flying for 10 years, I came back to Thailand. I was still flying in Thailand, and I started to follow this guy. His name is Vaz. He do life coaching, and he teaches like hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and he do life coaching stuff, like he teaches that too. So I went through all of his courses, and what really impressed me is that, you know, when you go for life coaching, they have a kind of questions to find out what is the cause of your problem. Either it's going to be mentally or physically. And his technique is like very precise. Like he has the very, I would say, brilliant questions to find out the core of your problem. And it's called score model. He called it score model. So he gives scores when he do his questioning, and he actually invented himself. So I had that score model, and I learned exactly how to go in depth and find out the cause of your problems. Either it's going to be physically or mentally, as I said. Now, what happened during that time that I was learning with him? So I know all of these things, I know all of this spirituality thing. I know I learned his score model. What happened afterwards is that now this happened to me. At that time that I was learning with him, I was constructing my house as well. So I invest a lot to construct my house, and I hired a bunch of people. Now, the very first person who come to construct my house, he cheated my money, a big amount of money. And I was so furious. I was so angry. I couldn't forgive him. I keep on talking about it with everybody that I met. I think about it all day long. I was talking to everybody. This guy cheated my money and stuff like that. I was talking about it every single day with every single person. Everybody knows about law of attraction. So I was in that frequency. I was talking about it. And there's no surprise, I attracted the second person, the exactly same pattern. The second person came up to construct my house. He cheated my money exactly the same way. I was even more furious, even more angry. I was keep on talking about it. Even though I learned all of these things, I couldn't control my emotion. I couldn't do it. I was like, that's it. I can't forgive them. How? Even though I've done all the life coaching and all that, I couldn't control myself. I keep on talking about it. And of course, it was so strong that I attracted the third person. So the third person, he has done the same thing again. I got cheated, and it was really bad. Now, the third person was really bad because we had a very big fight, and he actually threatened me, and I got so scared because I was like, I'm bringing threat to my family right now. He knows where I'm living. He knows where is my family and all that, and he's threatening me and all that. So I got very scared, and I got very annoyed and very disgusted. I got very disgusted that how can he let himself do that to me? The very next day, what happened to me is that I got hives. I don't know if you guys know about hives. Now, the picture I put here is not really hives. It's just rashes. I don't want to put a picture that disturbs you. So if you can see these dots, it's like rashes. Hives is kind of this kind of rashes, but it's going to happen all through your body, like every single part of your body, on my hands, on my trunk, on my legs, everywhere. You can see this red spot, huge ones. And that is my face. some days it get this worse, some days not much. So I got hives every single day. And because I learned from Buzz, I learned from Lucy, and I learned from everybody, I know the cause. And that is because I hated that person, and it comes from the emotion of hatred and disgust. So you can see that hives looks disgusting, like you feel disgusted. So it all came out, the emotion shows itself physically. And I was so intense, so it happens throughout my body. I know the cause right now, as I say, but how I'm gonna treat myself, how I'm gonna get rid of these hives. I had hives for 6 months. 6 months straight. Yes, that is Will Smith in his movie, one of his movie. I just want to make it funny. I didn't want you guys to get, yes, that's his, that's correct. I didn't want that to embed it to your subconscious mind. Anyway, so I got hives, and after 6 months, I had it every day. And if you got hives, you're going to have a very bad stomach ache as well. Even though you have medications, it's not going to help much. It will give you a stomach ache as well. And what I've done is, I remember at that time I set an intention. So I've done the same thing. So I told myself, I'm going to set my intention. My hives need to be cured fast and now. And I know there's no medication to heal this disease. So I told myself, no, I'm not going to take any more medication. So I didn't take medication for 6 months, and I'm going to be healed. What happened afterwards is that here, that is, I put Louise Hay because I thought about Louise Hay, and I was like, yeah. What exactly afterwards that happened is that my mom, she got infected by Chikungunya mosquito. It's like dengue fever, but there's another type. It's called Chikungunya from Africa. I don't know how this mosquito come all the way from Africa to Thailand. However, my mom, she got infected. I was looking after her. Of course, I got infected too, because probably the mosquito bite her and bite me. So I got infected. Now, what is the symptoms of chikungunya is that you're gonna have a very high fever for like 2 days, and you're gonna have rashes all through your body, and you're gonna have pain in your joints, very painful. At that time, when I got the very high fever, I know I got chikungunya, and my rashes doubled. It doubled for 2 days straight. It was so bad. But I was so happy deep inside. I know this is it. It came. The healing, it came. Why? Because suddenly at that time that my rashes doubled, this movie popped up in my head. When I was small, when I was like very small, like in high school, I watched this movie, and there was a scene in this movie that the girl, the main character, she was a chef of the emperor, and then she lost her taste bud, so she couldn't cook for the emperor. She didn't want to be cut off, so she went to a doctor, and the doctor used a bee to bite her tongue, and that poison of the bee cleared up her tongue, and now she got her taste bud back. So that exactly the reason that popped up in my head. I knew that my rashes double. They are actually doing some kind of effect to actually like attacking each other and disappear. And that's exactly what happened. So after 2 days with the fever and with the rashes, the third day, all my rashes and hives gone. So just bring it to your awareness from all of my experience. I have many more, so I wish that one day I can share with you guys. Today, I really love to bring the awareness to all of you that it's not just only you. There is your higher self, and there is a field. What I'm talking about, the field, you might call the field God, the universe, or whatsoever, but there's no coincidence. The day that I met the Mexican guy, it's not a coincidence. I asked for it, and it came. The same thing here, the chikungunya. How did my mother got infected? And then why I must get infected at that period of time? I asked for it and I got healed. I asked to be healed fast, and that's exactly what has happened. For my session, all of these things that I start to learn things like very easily, it all come back to Nikola Tesla, my very favorite guy, that he say, if you want to find the secret of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Whenever something happens to me, I always go back to his sentences, and I see things with this level of consciousness, with this level of thoughts, and you can start explaining what has happened to you. Yes, I love him too. So that's it all about me, and I hope that I will have more chances to see all of you and share more of my stories.